October 18th, 2016. This is Home Before Dark, episode 89. I am Tim Herb. As always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Kevin Bradley. Kevin, welcome back to the land of the living. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, feeling nice and relaxed. And did you get to go and meet any hosts while you're out there? Maybe go down a few storylines or...
Oh, no, nothing quite like that. It was great, though. We had a good time.
Yeah. So you guys were out in Utah, mostly Utah, right? So you guys were Colorado for 2 days and then Utah for what, like 6 days?
Yeah. We were in Utah for most of the week, so it was good. We did all of the national parks out there. So Arches, Ion, Canyonlands, Bryce Canyon, and Capitol Reef. So it's good.
Damn, son. Yeah, Kevin was posting pictures, and immediately the first thing that popped in my head was WestWorld, and then go to find out they're filming it where you guys were, right? So,
yeah.
And it's funny. Did you catch I know you ended up watching episode 2. Did you catch the shot I was talking about? Like whenever they're doing the wide shot of the basin, it looks exactly like where you were sitting on the rocks.
Yeah. There's a lot of that scenery looks really similar from place to place. It's cool though as you go from park to park, there's definitely a lot of differences, and it's just crazy how just a simple stream or river going through a particular area changes the landscape entirely. I mean,
dude, the Colorado River is the whole reason for the Grand Canyon, right? Over the course of a million years, whatever.
Right. So
yeah, it's insane.
It's really cool, and I mean, there's just so much variation from park to park, and how you navigate in the park, and what the scenery's like, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, though. We had a great time, and it was one of those good things where it was the happy medium between going on a trip where you're doing stuff nonstop and you feel like you don't really have a vacation, and being on like a beach or something where you don't do anything. It was right in the middle of that, which was great. It's like we didn't have cell service half the time, so we couldn't be bothered even if we wanted to be, and out seeing stuff and doing stuff for the entire time. So it was great.
That's good. It sounds like you're coming through your Surface instead of your headset.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's funny because the conversation we had about the WestWorld, so like whatever. Whenever I watched episode 2, I waited in the credits and I saw at the end where it said Utah, just like with all the Marvel movies having Georgia at the end of it.
Yeah, like I said, we were driving there, and the whole time I was like, wow, this looks like WestWorld. Wow, this looks like WestWorld. And I'm texting you about it, and then I actually looked it up, and it was right outside of Moab where we were staying at, and ended up seeing some of those spots, which was really neat. So
that's so cool. So to piggyback on that, I know the last time that we hosted a show, we talked about our initial impressions, yours of the whole first episode, mine of the first 40 minutes of the 60, and for anyone I haven't talked to, I am definitely hooked on the show. You were 100% right about probably like 80% of the stuff being in the last 20 minutes of that episide. The interaction between her dad and Anthony Hopkins is one of the best things I've seen in TV in a long time.
Yeah. And I think it keeps getting that way. I mean, each episode I find something else about it that I really, really appreciate. And I mean, they've already been, at least I heard today, and I'm just repeating something I've heard. I haven't looked to confirm it because that's typically the way I address information. But I heard that they're already signed on for 5 seasons. Is that right? Do you know?
Holy shit.
So I could be wrong about that, but I think it kind of plays into what you and I were talking about last night, and that I think the Man in Black is really going to progress the overall arc through 5 seasons, which I think they're handling that really well, where he's in one episode but not in the next, but there's definitely an overarching thing that he's pushing forward. But like I said, every episode I found something really, really amazing about that show. And episode 3 was coming to the realization of just how subtle and how great what's-her-face that plays Dolores's acting is, and just how taxing that must be on an actor or actress to have to play something that's artificial intelligence and be changing your diagnostics on the fly, and you have to rely on really subtle things like eye twitches and being motionless and reacting in these really, really delicate ways, which is fucking phenomenal to watch. So
yeah, one of the things I wish I'm gonna stop watching like the preview for the next episode, because I don't know they ruined stuff for me, but I feel like I need to go back and watch some of the stuff rather than, like, I'd rather go back and watch and catch those subtleties rather than have them explain them to me.
Right.
things like, Dolores, would you ever hurt a living thing? No. And then she smacks the fly on her face or on her neck or whatever. Yeah. So
I actually haven't watched any previews from episode to episode, so I didn't even realize they were putting stuff like that in trailers. That's kind of a
it's actually I take that back. So after episode 2, it was on the upcoming week. So it was like not even the stuff for episode 3 as much as just like a whole season preview, which I kind of want to stay away from.
Yeah.
But 5 seasons seems...
I think that's good, man. That's a good happy medium. I think some shows can stretch a little long once they start getting to those 8, 9, 10 season stretches. And for this show, I mean, they're building off of a movie. And Westworld was never a book, was it? Or was it?
No, it was a book.
I wasn't sure. I know Michael Crichton did it, but like in the credits, it says based off the movie by Michael Crichton. So it doesn't say like based off the book by Michael Crichton. Whenever I went to Barnes & Noble and Moab, I couldn't find it, so I didn't know if it was just a movie. And then I looked it up on Amazon, and it looked like it might have been a book, but it looked like just the movie poster for the cover, so I didn't know if it was them doing that sort of thing for the book cover alone or if it actually was a book. So
actually, I may be wrong, but there is a paperback for Westworld.
Yeah, I saw that. But you see what I'm saying? It's just the old movie poster for the cover, so I didn't know if they were doing that or so I don't know. But either way, it's still a limited amount of information. It's not like making Game of Thrones or something, where you've got a ton of information. It's like they're having to sort of write a new story into an existing timeline. And build upon it.
Yeah. That paperback is it is the screenplay. So
okay.
Yeah. Michael Crichton did.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's very limited amount of information that they're having to use to build into 5 seasons. So I think that's a perfect length for me. I mean, trying to think about what the alternatives would be is like 3, I feel like would be too short. It's like 1 season to really build the universe, 2 to like dive into the characters, 3 to, I mean, like you start really mapping it out. It seems like 5 is the perfect length for something like that. And I think once you get up much further past that, it just kind of drags on. So
no, yeah, I agree with you. I think that this is definitely suited better for multiple seasons. 5, we'll see, but rather than something like Stranger Things, which the closer it gets, the more apprehensive I am to watching a second season of, just based off of what was in the first season, what left us hanging, and like what there is to expand upon that's not just a rehash. And we've already talked about that before, but
I think the difference is when you have a show in a clear direction. I mean, I think we saw that kind of with Dexter in the long run, where I think they had a clear path through 2 or 3 seasons, but there was never an end in sight, and then they just sort of fell out of things to do, and it was really hit or miss, and more so miss towards the end of that show. Whereas we're seeing shows now getting picked up for a finite season run. So with Westworld knowing that they've got 5 seasons, Game of Thrones knowing that they're going to have whatever it is, 7 or 8, and shows like that. I mean, like with Stranger Things, I'm less apprehensive going into season 2, knowing that they were picked up for a second season before they even started working on the first. So they clearly have things in mind for what they're going to be doing going forward. And if they were that successful and did the first season that well, I have full confidence that they can do a second season just as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a show where maybe once we start getting into the 4th and 5th season, I'd be a little bit more apprehensive. But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there and a lot of world building that they can explore for something like that. It just falls back on the showrunners, and HBO is pretty fucking good at that, you know?
Yeah. I have no doubt about Westworld being a multi-season success, but anyway, yeah, I think it's a great show. I got to actually start watching episode 3. I haven't watched it yet. So I'm tempted to let them pile up, but then I run into the thing where I have a full DVR and I'm never go back and watch the whole thing.
Also, I think that show's so dense. It's going to be really hard to marathon it. You know what I mean? Like after one episode, I'm kind of like, all right, I need to just like kind of decompress and think about everything a little bit. Trying to run through all that. I feel like that's what happens with House of Cards, and that's why I stopped doing it. Like the first couple seasons, I really marathoned it hard, and then I was like, wow, there's so much stuff in there. And then I would get to the next season a year later and not remember half of it just because I burned through it so quick. So I started trying to pace it out just because of the amount of content in it, you know?
Yeah, that's how Breaking Bad was for me too, because I got there late. And the reason Breaking Bad to me, I binged it because I wanted to catch up. And that was against my own, I guess my own reactions, or I don't know. It's such a heavy show to binge watch.
Yeah.
It's not even just heady. It takes a toll on you for sure watching that. It's just an emotional roller coaster. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I get to watch episode 3 of that, and then God, I have so much TV to catch up on, man. Have you watched any of Atlanta yet?
Yeah, I watched the first couple episodes, and every year I do the same thing with American Horror Story. Speaking of FX shows in Atlanta, and American Horror Story has always been this bane of my existence where I get really excited about a season, I get 2 episodes in and it falls to shit, or it's just shit out the gate. This season has been phenomenal. It's been like, if for anybody that fell out of American Horror Story like I have over the years, this season they've taken a new spin on how they're actually doing the story, and it's very reminiscent and enjoyable along the lines of the first and second season, in my opinion. And so I've been watching that, and I actually started Better Things over the vacation and watched the first couple of episodes of that, and that is really fucking good. I'm really digging that too.
I don't even know if I know what Better Things is.
It's what's her name? Pamela Adlon, the chick that was in Louis and did that show on HBO with Louis. It's kind of like the mom Louis show, essentially. I mean, and they even marketed it as that. Louis C.K. is a co-writer on it with her, and she's really fucking funny. And so we watched the first 3 episodes of that, and I'm really digging that as well. So that's been the bulk of my TV. There's some new Netflix stuff on that I kind of want to check out, but overall, man, I mean, being out for last week, it was like we watched a couple things in the hotel at night, but not a whole lot. Yeah. What about you? Have you been you said you haven't really been watching a whole lot either.
No, man, not a whole lot. There's a lot of stuff that I definitely need to watch. There's a lot of stuff I've backed up between Atlanta and Mr. Robot and WestWorld and
yeah. See, I'm really far behind on Mr. Robot and on Halt and Catch Fire. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I got a lot of stuff to catch up on. I did manage to catch a couple movies on the flight though, which was cool. Finally got to see Jungle Book, which I was excited about. So
yeah, I want to get your thoughts on that, because I watched that last weekend. I liked it, but some of the stuff bothered me. I don't know if you could tell listening to it on a plane, but a lot of the audio for the voiceover sounded kind of bad.
Really?
It almost sounded crackly, staticky at times.
Interesting. No, I couldn't tell, and it may have just been because I was on the plane, but I really fucking enjoyed it. I think it's got me way more excited for Jon Favreau doing Lion King after seeing that. Oh,
I didn't know he was doing that.
Yeah, they're doing a Lion King along the same lines. So after seeing that, I think the weakest part for it was the actual lone actor in the movie.
Mowgli wasn't great.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but I thought all the CGI looked great. The way that they handled the songs in it was great. All the stuff that I was apprehensive about with them doing a live action Jungle Book, I think went really well. So him doing a Lion King, I'm definitely on board with. I enjoyed it. I'm sure, once again, I've come to the terms with the fact that most things now I'm going to go in. I'm going to like most of it.
No, I enjoyed it for sure. I thought the production value was great. You know what's funny is what kind of scared me away from watching it at first is on Amazon, the movie says that it's 2 hours and 30-something minutes. I was like, what? And then you watch it, it's like an hour and a half, and then there's an hour of special features afterwards.
Yeah.
So what else did you watch on the plane?
So side note, never really watched movies on a plane much. I typically read or just sleep, and I like that planes are starting to put the TVs in the headrest, even for domestic flights. The only time I've had that is whenever I've flown internationally, so it was great. Got to catch a couple movies. So really fucking awkward though whenever you're watching some movies. Went to go start The Nice Guys, and I'm 2 minutes and there's just tits and nips everywhere. I'm like, okay, can't watch this. So turn that off, and like I'm like, okay, maybe it's just this one part, and then
Nope.
yeah, and then Ryan Gosling starts talking about what he's actually doing and that he's in the sex trade. I'm like, okay, I guess I got to turn this off.
Yeah.
So then I go to watch that. What is it, like Mike and Dave need wedding dates or whatever?
Again, yes, which is pretty fucking hilarious.
Fucking hilarious, and it was all the way up until the massage part. There was no nudity or anything, and then that comes on, and I'm having to like awkwardly laugh and look around to make sure nobody's watching it over my shoulder, because even though the people on the left and right of you can't really see what you're watching because of the angle on the screen, the people directly behind you most definitely can.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's really awkward, but I really enjoyed it nonetheless. So
that was a movie that definitely surprised me too, because I forgot all about it. It only came out like 6 months ago in theaters.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it was very much along the lines of Wedding Crashers, where I didn't expect anything, and then I really enjoyed it. And I think it's really follows the same formula of Wedding Crashers.
Can we talk about how funny Zac Efron is?
Fucking great. Yeah.
I'm glad to see that he's mainly doing those comedy movies, and he's outside of the rom-coms and stuff like that now.
Yeah.
Adam Devine can be a little much to handle at times, but
he definitely can be, and I wonder what that's done to their dynamic as like a group of friends from Workaholics too. I think about that all the time, because you see how much work he's getting between Modern Family and like commercials and this movie and stuff like that, and the other two aren't really doing anything.
Yeah, that's true. And he's like, I just saw that he had a stand-up tour announced. He's gonna be playing at the Tabernacle soon. And
really?
Yeah, his stand-up stuff's kind of funny. It's all right. No, my least favorite part of that movie, and probably the only thing that really bugged me about it, was Aubrey Plaza.
I was thinking the same thing, right? Like, it wasn't that she bothered me as a whole. It just seemed like her
character seemed unnecessary.
Yeah, the attitude that her character had just had it just clashed against her personality, I thought. Like, her personality is just very sort of lone wolf and off-putting, and just, I mean, I felt like it was just her Parks and Rec character, which is a lot of what her stand-up and stuff is too. And so to see her in this like sort of bad girl role, just, it threw me off. Like, seeing her cuss every other word and do like the smoking and drinking and stuff didn't bother me. It was just like some of her lines definitely didn't jive with her. Her
delivery and the accent or her cadence that they made her have throughout the movie definitely threw me off. And it was the only thing about that movie that I think I didn't enjoy. Kumail was hilarious.
Yes, he was.
What was it like? Our holes are lined up and all that. Yeah. It's like, that. And then the other chick from Silicon Valley was fantastic too. His cousin.
Yep.
The whole Chris Rock bit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, it was great. It was one of those movies where I can typically, as far as comedy goes, always the big determining thing for me is if it makes me laugh whenever I'm not watching it in a group. Like, typically movies are just going to be funnier watching it with other people in general, but watching that alone on a plane was definitely cracking me up. So I enjoyed that a good bit. So.
Yeah. I had that same experience, though, coming back from England. I was watching, have you ever watched House of Lies on Showtime?
Isn't that the what's
Cheadle
his name?
show.
Don Cheadle. Yeah. I haven't watched it, but
the same thing though, right? Like, I'm watching. I put it on the plane, not thinking there's going to be shit like this available to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
In a crowd, and
that was the little thing on the beginning. It's like, this movie has been modified to take out any material that may be deemed sensitive or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is going to be okay to watch around 30 fucking people. So
I wonder what they took out of The Nice Guys then, if the nudity was still in there.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. I don't know if you have gone back to watch it. Or
I haven't. I definitely
great.
want to. I've only heard good things about it. So,
but yeah, like the first couple scenes, it's just like Don Cheadle and his ex-wife having sex in the beginning of the show, and I'm just looking around. There's like nobody on the plane because it's on the way back and it's an empty flight. But I'm still getting.
Nope, mine was completely sold out, and I was in the middle of it. So yeah, couldn't have felt more awkward.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's definitely not fun times.
Yeah. So, but other than that, that's really all I watched over the past week or two.
I think tonight I'm gonna try and knock out WestWorld, get ready for Sunday, and then this goes along the lines of music. And I think we talked about this whenever we were talking about what we've been listening to the last time we talked. And one of the bands that I was revisiting, Protest the Hero, which you're a fan of Protest the Hero too. they put out a documentary about, so they crowdfunded their last LP back in like 2013. It's pretty much this whole documentary about them losing a band member and them being on the verge of collapse pretty much, and their popularity being nothing, and then them doing the crowdfunding campaign, and it almost raised a fucking $1 million, and all they asked for was like 125,000. And it's like, it's $15 though to purchase. It's an hour and a half documentary. I'm tempted to buy it. I really want to watch it just because those guys are so talented.
I love those things, man. And Coheeds are all on YouTube, which has been cool to watch. But I've watched the few that they've put out, and it's really neat to get a peek behind the curtain on bands that you really like. That it's not typically something. At least the Coheed ones or the Of Montreal one that I watched. It's nice whenever they're well done and not overproduced. And
this one seems like it could be potentially overproduced. Really? Just the production quality is so good on it.
Really.
But I don't know. And one of the more interesting things that I saw in the trailer is I didn't realize that on that album they had lost their drummer. And the drummer, Chris Adler from Lamb of God, actually did all the drums on the last album. And part of it in the trailer is this kind of battle between, I guess, Mo Carlson, their old drummer, being a punk rock. I mean, their sounds are completely fucking different. Lamb of God and Protest the Hero. You have one heavy metal, and then the other one that's fast punk. And it's like frustrations of them working together, and I don't know, it seems pretty interesting. I definitely want to check that out.
That's what I liked about the other two too. I mean, seeing in both of those bands, between Montreal and Coheed, both similar stories, right? I mean, Coheed was down to just Travis and Claudio going into Year of the Black Rainbow. Those two wrote all of No World for Tomorrow together in Claudio's attic, essentially. And so seeing all of that, all the fallout that came after Good Apollo, and how they stuck together to keep things going, and how they had to bring in new band members and all that. I love that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what makes bands great and gets them to putting out 8, 9, 10 albums that are all really successful. So
yeah, and they're definitely a band that I've so much appreciation for, and they're also trying to break the mold. I don't know if you ever saw that whenever they set up the subscription service through Bandcamp.
You told me about it, yeah.
It's kind of weird. I'm not a huge fan of it, not to say that other people aren't, but it's essentially for a year, 6 months, they put out a different song every month. It was like a $12 a year subscription, and you got access to that, and then instrumentals for all of them. And I don't know. I wonder if that model's viable.
Yeah,
I don't see any other bands doing
model, it. Right? I mean, I just don't see people getting a subscription. So I guess it could be for diehard fans, but reaching a broader audience. I mean, you got to think about what broader audiences are really doing for music subscriptions, and it's broad services like Apple Music and Google Play and Spotify and stuff like that. And I'm sure that from a musician standpoint, they get a much less cut out of those services per play, but at the same time you're reaching a lot more. So it's I don't know, it's a weird trade-off. I can't imagine being in that position to have to make those options, but I get it. So
I'll be giving them some of my money direct in February, because they just announced that they're coming to Atlanta with August Burns Red, and I'm really fucking pumped about that.
And Circus Survive just announced a new tour for On Letting Go 10 year. Did you get your ticket yet? I got to get mine soon.
I haven't. I'm sure they're going to sell out soon.
Yeah, I got to get that, especially with Me Without You. I'm really excited about that. So
yeah, that'll be good. And then this weekend you have I'm gonna guess no, but on Sunday I think that I definitely, for nostalgia's sake at least, I'm gonna go watch Devil Wears Prada and Silverstein. And I think the thing that sold me is that Devil Wears Prada, looking at Setlist FM, their encore is Danger Wildman from Roots Above and Branches Below, and I just want to get down to that so bad.
I'd be much more excited 10 years ago.
But now, it's true.
I mean, Silverstein especially, I would not be excited to see them anymore listening to their newest stuff. And Devil Wears Prada, I'm so far removed from listening to them. I still enjoy listening to them, but it's one of those shows Thrice was awesome, and I knew probably half of their lineup, their set, and they put on such a great show that even the songs I didn't really know, I really enjoyed. But for Devil Wears Prada, I can't see me being in that position at that show. So
I could see that. for me, Silverstein, that's a nostalgia thing too, because they're post-hardcore pioneers, and they're part of my high school and college.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They were such a big part of that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, but anyway, Monday I will be tearing down the Masquerade before they tear down the Masquerade with Every Time I Die.
Nice.
Just to stay on the topic of music real quick, I just thought this was interesting. I saw the list of the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees.
Oh, cool.
That came out. It's a pretty interesting list. So Bad Brains, which is like old 80s fucking hardcore punk / kind of reggae band. They were huge, influential in pretty much everything hardcore in the 90s and the 2000s. Shaka Khan, just surprising she's not in there already. Chic, Depeche Mode, again, surprising Depeche Mode's not in there. ELO, Jay Giles Band, Jane's Addiction, Janet Jackson, Joan Baez, Joe Tex, Journey. Again,
what?
Yeah,
that is surprising. Does Journey go in twice?
What do you mean?
Like before Steve Perry dies and then after Steve Perry dies?
Some group called Kraftwerk that I've never heard of, MC5, Pearl Jam, which is probably the biggest name to me on that list.
Journey's still the biggest, I would think.
You know what's funny? If you talk to somebody from the time, like if you talk to my dad will tell you like Journey was like, people hated Journey back in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah, he said they were kind of a joke. Like, yeah. Wow. Anyway, Pearl Jam, Steppenwolf, The Cars, which is probably my personal favorite group on that whole list. Again, surprised the Cars aren't in there. Zombies. I don't know anything Zombies except for the stuff that shows up in those like Time Life.
And that Cranberry song.
Tupac is on the list. And then, yes. So, yeah, that's a pretty loaded list.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I don't know what necessarily...
Yeah, some of those I'm definitely surprised aren't already in there. That's a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, I am surprised at this point that, I don't know, Pearl Jam's still kicking it. So, I don't know, like, what's the criteria for that? Because with sports, you got to be 5 years removed, 5 years retired.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so I don't know what the criteria is, because these guys are obviously, a lot of them are still playing, still recording, still putting out music. So I don't know what the list of requirements is, but anyway, just thought that was interesting. I saw that on the news. So before we hopped on, you were getting your first taste of Gears of War 4, huh?
Yeah, finally. I got it finished downloading and got I think I got to like the second or third part in the prologue. Oh, it feels so good to be back, man. That campaign just drops you right in. Like, I am in love with this prologue right now. I'm really enjoying the way that the whole game opens up. I know there was some apprehension about graphics. So far, I've not seen anything that I'm overly disappointed with. Like I said, I'm loving the way the game's starting out. The guns sound great. It feels great. Yeah, I'm really digging it. Really, really digging it. And it's exploring some moments in the Gears of War lifetime that I think warranted some attention. If you're going, like, I think it was all things that people wanted to see or thought that they would see going into a new Gears title. Like, is it going to be a prequel? And you find out it's going to be a true like expansion of the universe 25 years in the future. So for them to still hit that note of setting up things and events that took place before the first Gears of War, I'm really digging it so far.
Like getting to experience E-Day, right?
Yeah, E-Day, the Pendulum Wars, like all that stuff, man. It's awesome. So,
yeah, it's cool to take you through it. I was playing for just a little bit. I played probably 10, 15 minutes on Sunday whenever I downloaded it, and God, it is nice to be back, like you said, but it is also so hard to adjust to.
Yeah. So it brought up a second point I wanted to talk to you about, which I don't think we've ever talked about at all, which is how do you approach game difficulty in games? Like every time I start a game, I'm the type of person that always puts it on the hardest difficulty. Like if there's a insane mode, I'm going to put it on that. personally, I know it's going to be challenging, and I'm going to end up stretching the gameplay time as a result of that. Amber always is like, eye rolls, like, you're going to regret that. Inevitably, I still finish the game and still manage to trudge through it. Like, yes, it's difficult. That's what I'm looking for. If you just burn through it, I don't know. So I'm on Insane. I've died quite a few times already, and I expect to die a ton, but it's one of those things. It's just like doing a raid or something really challenging in a game. I'm just one of those people that I would rather have it on the hardest difficulty possible just to get that sense of accomplishment at the end. But I don't know. I don't know. It's just interesting to me how people approach that.
Yeah, I think for me it depends on the type of game too. And now that you say that, I do like it depends on legacy too. So if I'm playing something brand new that I have absolutely no idea how to play, how to approach it, I typically roll with normal.
Yeah.
Something like FIFA or sports games in general, they do a terrible job scaling difficulty. So I tend to stick to the medium difficulty on that as well. But I don't know. I guess I'm less adventurous.
So what'd you start on with Gears?
So what is it? It's obviously what, easy.
I think it's easy, normal, hard, and insane.
I think I'm on normal.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I've only played the first bit of the first part of the prologue. So
it's tough, man. I'm already kind of digging into it. It's definitely tough, but I love that stuff, man. Like, I still have memories of beating General Ram on Insane back in the first Gears. Like,
yeah,
it's
and I think I honestly, not to like just jump on your bandwagon, but I think that honestly might be a better way for me to approach it too, in terms of getting ready to play online multiplayer.
Absolutely.
And I think that's maybe because with Destiny you don't have difficulties until you get to the end.
Until you've already done it. And so that's the other thing is like replayability. Like, am I going to go through and play? Because with Gears, there's also achievements for beating it on every difficulty. So it's like, I'm not going to go through and play it easy, normal, hard, and insane, where I can just play it on Insane all the way through and get all the achievements for all the other ones. You know?
Yeah, that's true. It's not a dungeon crawler, so the replayability for the campaign really isn't there.
Right. So with Destiny, it's like you don't even unlock hard. At least you didn't unlock hard on Rise of Iron until you'd already beat it on normal, and then it's just a matter of just getting higher level drops and another achievement. So it's like I just did it on whatever the hardest difficulty that I could at the time. But yeah, so I'm running in on Insane. What do you guys play games on? How do you decide whether you play it on normal or insane or hard or whatever? It's just something I don't think many people talk about. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you wear it as a badge of courage, or do you hide in shame that you play it on easy?
I don't think and I don't even think it's that. I mean, I think it's like from Amber's perspective, like she's more interested in the actual game play in the campaign than in the playability of it. So it's like, for me, if it takes me an hour for each little chapter, I'm okay with that and just wiping 20 or 30 times just because I'm enjoying it. And I feel like it's, like you said, I think especially for Gears, where it's going to play into how you play PvP a little bit more, especially because they've done a really good job with the AI and stuff, that I can justify that a little bit more. So
yeah, and so far I think it's cool that I've already picked up one of the new weapons in the first part of the prologue.
Oh, it's so good too.
What is it, the MK whatever it is, the semi-auto rifle? It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's going to be the hardest thing for me to get used to, is playing third person with essentially a carbine, because it's hard enough. It was hard enough to get used to the long shot, and you're so used to everything pretty much being full auto or burst fire, and then they throw this into the mix. It is a game changer to me.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. I'll probably hold off on too much of the PvP for a while. I really want to just keep playing through the campaign, just because I've only heard good things about it. It's gotten really great, and this is coming from somebody that tries not to read too much into reviews, but it's gotten like 9.3 or 9.4 on IGN and stuff, so it's pretty well-reviewed game right now. So
I mean, an 84 on Metacritic is pretty solid.
Yeah. So I'm going to spend some time and do the campaign. We got hard mode of the raid out in Destiny, so I'll probably get my PvP fix on Destiny and the big end-game content stuff with that the next week or two. It's still playing a little bit of Trials here or there, but yeah, so digging into the campaign finally on Gears, and I mean, even just being an hour into it, I'm really digging it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So in terms of to pivot from mobile or to pivot to mobile from regular or from gaming anyway, there are a couple things that I saw that are pretty interesting. So with the whole thing going on with the Note 7, it blowing up.
I got so sick of hearing that on every airplane and every airport the entire week.
Well, I don't know if you saw Samsung's reluctance to really give somebody or give people a full refund or anything like that.
Apparently, you can exchange it in airports now.
Right, that's what I was going to say. That came out today that you can, if you're in an airport, you can go, Samsung will let you exchange it for another phone.
Did you see what they were doing before that? They were actually giving people fireproof baggies that you would have to put
Oh my God, no, I didn't.
Yeah, it was like a fireproof Ziploc bag that you would have to put your phone in if you had one, even if it was turned off, just to keep it from happening, basically. So
it's crazy, man. It's funny. I joke. I think that the Chinese are sabotaging everybody else. I think those are Chinese batteries. But anyway, it's just, I wonder if we're reaching our limit, because I saw at least one report too of iPhone 7 blowing up. It's not the same as, the frequency of the Note 7, but it just makes me wonder if we're reaching the limit of the lithium ion battery and what it can power and like how easily it overheats. And it's crazy to me that that's going on. And I feel like companies are just rushing to market too early.
Yep.
So it's going to cost Samsung a ton of money. It's going to cost them a ton of the market share. I think a lot of I don't know, man.
Cost them a lot of their image too.
Yeah, their brand reputation. I was hearing things about their washing machines blowing up too. So it's not just
Jesus.
Yeah, it's just for a brand that's in everything, because they are. Yeah, it's kind of scary. But on a good note, one of the craziest things I've seen, and I saw it just before we hopped on, is that Qualcomm in 2017, second half of 2017, is going to be putting out modem chips for 5G.
Huh.
Which is 5 gigabits per second, roughly 100 times as fast as 4G LTE.
But what's the purpose of that? I guess you're still a good ways down the line. I mean, even whenever 1G isn't even, or 2G isn't even really accessible by 80% of the population. That seems really early, but I guess if you're pushing that, it makes it a little bit quicker.
Well, with Verizon, at least, their 4G covers 75% of the country. They are saying that, I think Verizon has discussed a service based on the technology to compete with fixed line internet services by 2017. So it's not even just for mobile. This is for home.
See, that's what I wasn't even thinking about it in mobile. I was thinking about, whenever you said modems, I was thinking of landline.
No, this is
regular internet.
It has applications for both.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so we're talking about 5 gigabits per second. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What you're going to be able to do with that, you're going to be going over data like crazy on your phone. But yeah, so I guess they're going to start, the cellular networks are going to start trying to get the 5G services ready by 2018, which is way sooner than I thought it was, because I think 2 years ago they had the first successful 5G test in a lab in South Korea. And I was like, that is just so far away from being a reality. Right. But I don't know, maybe they'll surprise me, because it's still not that accessible being able to get gigabit internet anywhere. But
well, that's what my point was, until that even becomes accessible, how do you corner that market? You know what I mean? If it's not even a market to begin with. So
yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, same here. One of the other things that I wanted to get your opinion on was the whole thing. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the WikiLeaks stuff and Julian Assange.
A little bit, not a ton.
Not necessarily. I don't want to talk about the contents of what.
Oh, see, that's the only thing I have kept up with is the Podesta email stuff, which is actually kind of funny. I don't know if you saw the whole risotto thing that happened with I know you don't want to talk about the content, but there was I'll
talk about it, but that wasn't, yeah.
So the John Podesta emails were the big content in the WikiLeaks and all the Hillary campaign stuff. And I guess one of the emails, because it's something crazy, like 10,000 emails or something like that, but one of the emails had to do with email correspondence about his risotto recipe or something like that. And so he actually posted some stuff on Twitter of him cooking risotto. It's like 1, yes, I'm still making risotto. 2, yada, yada, yada. 3, I'm willing to bet it's better than whatever you're eating or whatever they feed you in an Ecuadorian embassy or something like that, or better than the food in Ecuador, something like that. It's pretty great.
Yeah, that's actually what I was mainly wanting to talk about is they cut his internet, right?
Yeah, they're throttling it, I guess, or something, or at least cutting the amount that he can access it. Yeah,
that's crazy. That is, from what I understand, that's not legal.
There's a lot of really not legal things happening lately. Like, it's kind of shocking how much stuff is like the whole. I don't know if you heard about the GOP thing in North Carolina that got bombed that had actual like filled out absentee ballots within the building that got bombed, which is a like federal law that you're not allowed to have that sort of information in there in this headquarters. And they had all these absentee ballots that got burned up. It's like, that is not legal.
Yeah. Well, between that, dude, they're dirty. Like the voting.
Oh yeah.
Between both of them, I was watching a video too, like an undercover video of in the Hillary camp where the guy was like saying, "Oh yeah, whenever people signed up to vote, like they were just doing voter registration. If they signed it up to vote and filled out their information as a Republican, I just tore it up."
Yeah,
and
it's fucking everywhere, man. It's on both sides. It's really gross.
It really is. So one of the things with the WikiLeaks stuff, I wanted to get your opinion on, I don't know, just how you feel about the stuff, because on one hand, it is illegal. It is hacking into government information. But on the other hand, it's stuff that, I don't know. It's stuff that I feel like should not be such private information, and stuff that shouldn't be hidden.
So it's weird. I'm definitely torn on both sides, and it's the whole thing that Hillary was getting like hit hard with a week or two ago, where one of those things in the WikiLeaks things was her conversation about having both a public and private stance on certain political events or political mindset or political agendas. And I think personally, that's what you kind of have to do as a politician. Like, that's the whole point of politics. Like, if you were who you are all the time, nothing. I mean, it's just a really delicate subject. Like, you have to play the game in politics. And so I can see where you have to have a public persona and a private persona, especially for the interests of national security. And I think it's the same sort of thing with the whole WikiLeaks thing, where on one side I can see where it opens a lot of doors to other people potentially getting this information about really important things within our country and our government, and how that should have certain legal ramifications. But on the other side of things, I'm very much on the whole reason behind like the Second Amendment is like, we have to keep governments in check. And this is one reason, like that's one way you do that, is by having people like this who are whistleblowers and pointing out things that we should know as the general public. Like that's a really important thing to me. But at the same time, I can see where it also has a lot of really bad implications for our country as a whole. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's God, what is the term? It's just like it's like just a battle of conscience. So it's just funny to see both sides, right? So whenever the cables initially got leaked with the Bush campaign, he was an enemy of the state to the Republicans and a patron saint to the Democrats. And now it's the exact opposite.
The exact opposite, exactly.
Yeah, he's working with the Russians. We're just trying to Trumpism puppet for the Russians, and we're gonna get them in power. And it's fear tactics. It's funny. Yeah, I don't know, man. I
definitely can't take one stance versus the other, because I can see both sides of it, and I think there's a lot of merit and a lot of things that have come to light as a result of WikiLeaks that I think the general public needs to be made aware of.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I can see where it opens a lot of potential issues for national security as a result of that.
There was the guy on, I don't know if you saw this last thing on this, but on CNN, the anchor was saying, just remember, it is illegal for you guys to read these.
What?
Yeah, he's like, as a journalist or as journalists, we're allowed to see these and relay them to you, but it's illegal for you to read these links because they were uncovered illegally.
I didn't. Really? Is that a real thing?
It's like, I'm pretty sure I have the same First Amendment rights you do.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just like, I feel like we're in a scarier situation than I originally thought, if that's the case. So
yeah. I mean, like I said, our whole country is founded on this principle of checks and balances with each branch of government, and the constitutions and the amendments to the Constitution have to do with those checks and balances and keeping what's the word, tyrannical, I guess, governments in check to make sure that they're not taking away its citizens' rights and stuff like that. I mean, that's the whole, like I said, it's the whole precedence behind the Second Amendment. Is it's not just so that we can have whatever fucking guns we want. It's to keep governments in check.
Man, it's for me to go hunting.
And speaking of the U.S. Constitution, best part of the vacation started out before we even left was we went to go take Izzy to Amber's mom to watch her for the week, and her mom was like, "Yeah, I got you a surprise. I heard you really into this, and so I got you a hiking shirt." And she handed me this shirt that had it said Hamilton and Washington and Jefferson and Burr on it. And I was like, "Oh, this is so great." And then Amber's like, "Yeah, and you can wear it to this." And she had actually surprised me with the Hamilton tickets on Broadway for March. And I am still having to fight back tears because I was so excited and overwhelmed by it. So I cannot wait for that.
That's awesome, man. So you said March? You guys going to make a whole,
it's actually her birthday weekend, which is great. So, but I mean, to your point, to answer your question, I don't think we're going to do a whole vacation week out of it just because New York City's so fucking expensive.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
So we'll probably do a 3-day weekend, go up there Friday morning and come back Monday morning or something like that. Just because it's going to be so super expensive to go for a full week. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome, though, man. Your first time in New York City, and you get to go watch a fucking Broadway play.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Really, really excited about it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So, speaking of things that you've listened to all the time, so have you deviated from that at all? Have you been listening to anything good over the break?
So, I'm still listening to Vacancy a ton over the break. I listen to California a lot over the break. But starting today at the office, actually listening to something new that's come out recently, listening to Dance Gavin Dance's new album a good bit today, really digging that. They've definitely got that formula down pat, man.
Dude.
Once you've got it and you can stick to it with some slight deviations, I'm on board with it. And I think this is just further exploration into instant gratification or whatever.
Gratification, yeah.
Yeah. I'm on board with it. I'm really digging it so far. So.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, they definitely have the formula, and then Tillian has aggression in his voice now, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah. And so they definitely have that shit down. And they keep exploring different, I don't know, for me, this is the first time I feel like every single person has hit their peak on the album, and they've stood out above everybody else at a certain point in time.
Yeah.
Just especially Matt's drumming is just fucking insane on that album, and it's fantastic. And they were fantastic in concert on Friday night.
I'm pretty jealous.
Pretty insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anything else aside from that?
No.
New to our Cinema Club?
I didn't realize they had something new out.
I didn't until Friday when it came out and it popped up on my Google Play, and I was like,
No, I haven't. I haven't really dove into that at all. But no, not really. I'm really hooked on that fucking Closer song that's on the radio right now. I've listened to that a good bit. What is it, Secondhand Smokers or something? Chain
Smokers?
Yeah.
Secondhand Smokers. Those guys I've never heard of those guys in my life, and I was watching College Game Day on Saturday, and they brought them out after they did the whole
That beat and that little hook on that song is so catchy. Like, yeah, I've been listening to that a couple of times the past week or so, like whenever we were in the car, because we drove a lot while we were out there, so we listened to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. But yeah, that song, that's a good feel-good song. I likes it.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out. I haven't listened to it, so.
You can judge me. It's okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine, dude. I will not judge you. I definitely will not judge you because I listen to all
Speaking of which, Paramore's got to be due for a new album soon, right?
Exactly.
When did that last album come out? Like 4 years ago? I mean, it's been a while.
No, it's 13 probably, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, that was whenever we were still over in the townhome, and we've been here for a year and a half, so, yes, at least 2.5. It's got to be coming soon.
You got your mic hitting your glasses, by the way.
Oh, my fault.
All that adjusting got you. Yeah. So, couple of things I think you might end up liking. So I went and saw that Kurt Travis show on Wednesday, and just the bands that he has on his label are pretty great. And there's one band called Rome Hero Foxes, and these kids are all like 19 and they're crazy talented, and they've already put out a full LP, and they have actually 2 LPs, and it's just really good stuff. And then there was a band, I wasn't a huge fan of them live. They were pretty good, I guess. It was just a weird fit. Before dance, so Hail the Sun came on, and then this band called The Contortionist came on next. So Hail the Sun, think Circa Survive meets, I don't even know. Like they're a little heavier than Circa Survive, but and then The Contortionist plays, and they're like this atmospheric progressive metal band with like these very kind of wispy, like soft vocals and exploratory riffs and all this stuff. And then they'll hit a breakdown occasionally and some screams. It was just the weirdest thing, but they're pretty great work music. Like it's good stuff to put on in the background and that kind of thing. So it was pretty interesting.
Nice.
It was a weird fit, but it's the same way the last time I saw Dance Gavin Dance, Polyphia played before Dance Gavin Dance did. And I was like, this doesn't really fit in the same mold, but it's cool that they're taking them out with them and kind of exploring or like kind of exposing people to different new music. So
yeah,
it's good stuff.
Oh, speaking of bands, so before we went on vacation, we actually went and saw Coheed again, which was fucking awesome. I don't know if we talked about that on the last show. I think not.
I don't think so.
So really big rumor. I mean, I think people, surely they know people are clamoring for it at this point, that they've done Never Enders for the past 2 albums. Like everyone wants a good Apollo Never Ender again. It's been 10 plus years since they did the ones that they did originally for it. And I guess at New York City Comic Con, they actually put out some things related to Good Apollo, and like they put out a 10-speed exclusive shirt. They put out like a art book that went along with it and stuff like that. So the rumors are hopefully they're getting ready to start gearing up for Good Apollo Never Ender, which I cannot fucking wait if that's the case.
I would die.
Yeah.
Especially if they did both of them back to back.
I think that's the way if they could do that, that would be such a long set.
2 hours.
Yeah, that would be such a long set. I mean, the way that they could do it would be the way that the Used did it recently, where they did
the same way they did Neverender. The Neverender sets were 4-day. Those were 4-day. That was a 4-day show.
Right. So if they did 2 days in major cities, because that's the other thing is like this tour seemed like it was a lot of really smaller venues in some smaller towns. So it would make sense that they're kind of building up for this big tour and going out. And I mean, they've done the tour for Color Before the Sun, and then they did a follow-up. So it makes sense that now, I mean, they're not really working on a new album so quick. So it seems to make sense. They're not going to take 2 years off of touring, because that's not the kind of band that they are. And since they really wrote the book on the Never Ender sort of format for a concert, that would be what's to come. So I really hope that's the case. I would love nothing more for them to do 2 nights at the Tabernacle back to back.
Dude, that'd be incredible.
Yeah. So
I would lose my shit.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's the only other thing I've got music-wise, though.
Yeah, and I think we're coming right up on an hour, too.
Cool. All right, well, that's it for us. I think we both got some extended plays. I'm gonna write off the idea of doing a raid specific one. Maybe I'll do one on hard mode or just a raid, because I've gotten a lot of questions, mainly from JP, who doesn't really play a lot of MMOs or play games that have raids and stuff like that in there. So rather than it just being Wrath of the Machine extended play, maybe I'll just do a raid extended play in general, since Destiny's really been my first foray into it and what I've gotten out of it. But we both got a couple of extended plays on the back burner. Hopefully we can churn those out soon. I know I've been slacking on my part, but
yeah, so have I.
So
no worries.
So yeah, but good to be back. I don't have any travels coming up anytime soon, so hopefully we'll get back on a weekly schedule. I know it's been a little hit or miss here, so thanks guys for checking us out. You can find us both on Twitter. Tim, where can they find you at?
You can find me at Tim Herb.
You can find me as well at The Architect. That's at _ARC, number 1, TECT. And collectively at Home Before Dark. That's before spelled B and the number 4. I've got to get to work on that logo sometime soon. Hopefully I can touch on that some this weekend. Start pulling together some of this content that we teased a while back. I know we kind of fell off the wagon there, but all part of vacation mindset was trying to get my life back on track and get some regimen in place, but not tonight. Tonight's all about Gears of War and getting ready for hard mode of Wrath of the Machine. So in any case, thanks for checking us out, guys. As always, be home before dark.